Going live in 3, 2, 1, and we made it. Episode 10. We have managed to do 10 episodes of the All In Loyalty podcast. All things loyalty, all in one place. It is, as always, a huge pleasure to be sitting here alongside Gabriele and Gianluca Giancola, talking about some of the latest developments in the loyalty space. It has been some very, very interesting conversations so far, and it's looking like it's going to continue to do so for the next couple of days. Talking about how this space has been evolving and changing would be a bit of an understatement. Things are constantly happening. It feels like people are experimenting more and more, especially the large businesses, and that's what makes a lot of these headlines so interesting. You get all of these huge names, you get the credit card providers, you get the payment providers, you get every huge name out there that's kind of still, even to this day and age, messing around, trying to experiment with different loyalty programs and different like retention incentives and trying to see what sticks. And what works for one might not work for the other. And that's what makes it so interesting to talk about. So we've got a bunch of very interesting topics to jump into. But for now, we are reaching towards now end of February already for 2026, which first of all is insane to think about how quickly that's all gone by. But starting off over with you, Gabriele, how is everything on your side at the moment?
Everything going very well. Crazy that it's end of February. I just also thought about it. I have the feeling the year just started and we're already basically the 6th of the year is over. No, but going very well. I had a very productive and very strong start of the year, so I'm very happy about that. And looking forward to discussing some cool topics with you guys. And yeah, giving it over to Gianluca.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Go for it.
I'm doing great as well. Yeah, exciting topics ahead, and I don't know. I feel like it's been 2 long months in a way, because we achieved. We've done so much in these two months, and even though it is already 2 months of the year that is over, it still feels like a long time in a way, just because of the amount of things that have been going on. It's that dichotomy of feeling like time has passed really fast, but at the same time it feels like it's been an eternity. Kind of there.
Yeah, I think on my side it's really because we've been like so like locked in on like one particular thing that I've just been doing it like day in, day out the entire time, that for me it's like it started in like the first week of January and like now it's just like still going. It's just still continuing. So for me it feels like just one long sort of stretch of this particular thing. But yeah, it's been a really cool time because especially for me personally, like it means learning new software, new programs, new ways of doing things, and that was also a huge thing for me. And not only did I start learning these things, but I started to enjoy them and started like, you know, really enjoying these different like subtle changes that you can make that like affect whether or not something performs well, and trying to decide what sticks, what people will like more and everything. I don't know. It's a lot of fun. It's something that I hadn't done before, but it's something that I'm really enjoying. I'm talking about like sales and prospecting, by the way, just to get like super specific. But yeah, it's really fun. Anyway, not to get too sidetracked or anything, because I know that everybody's a little bit pressed for time today. We do have a couple of very interesting articles, and I would say let's just jump straight into the very first one. And it's an interesting one because it starts off opening a conversation that we've had before about sort of democratization versus exclusivity. So we've seen various companies try this in various forms and to various levels of success. So the question is always, if a company has a loyalty program, is it more worth it for them to make it as democratic as possible or as accessible as possible so that the barrier of entry is very low, which means a lot of people come in? Or is it more worth it to make it more exclusive so that you can really cater towards your most loyal customers and the people that are really deserving of that loyalty? Or is it like a little something in between where maybe the regular people get a little something, but the good ones, the real regular customers, the ones that are the real earners for you, still feel seen? And we have an example here that just came out a couple days ago, the article. that has been kind of gathering a lot of attention because it's included some pretty radical, I would say, not radical, but like some pretty brave and pretty unyielding changes that I think we haven't seen in a while. So what I'm talking about in this particular case is United. You can see the article here. You can see the title. United prioritizes card members and premier status holders in their latest updates, slashes earnings for everyone else. Now, what does that exactly mean? There's a clear direction that United seems to be taking here, and they want to push everything towards their more loyal members, or the members that are putting more money in. Either way. You can see here, starting April 2nd, so that's already a little over a month from now, the number of miles you earn on your flight will be tied directly to whether you hold a United credit card and the level of your elite status. So you can see there's a chart here on the table that shows basically what the old earnings rate was and what the new rates are. And depending on what kind of group you're in, it's either going down or up. So for example, you have like basic old earn rates here, where if you were, for example, Premier Gold, you would earn 8 miles per $1 spent. And if you now, with these new ones, if you have a new mileage plus, so if you're just a part of that program, then it does go down a little bit with 6. But if you have the card, it is increased to 9, which doesn't sound like much, but that is an over 10% increase. So that's actually pretty significant if you're one of these frequent flyers. So we're going to delve in, I think, a little bit more to like what it means then for the sort of the layman's, the casual travelers, the economy travelers, etc., a little bit later. But maybe it'll be interesting now to get an initial sort of thought about the approach that United is taking here, whether this is something that shows promise, whether you guys are feeling optimistic, or if you think this is a mistake, etc., etc. So, Gabriele, how about some first impressions from you for this?
I think somebody's pushing their card members. The card member.
Yeah. True.
No, I mean, it's super obvious that they want to push that side. I don't know how much sense it makes, because getting a new card is always a hassle. Like a hassle in the sense that you have to go through quite a big process. It's also something that, like, if you get, like, you always have basically your bank that you use for everything. You get your credit card there, your debit card, etc. So it kind of, you're locked in there. Yeah, obviously people have multiple cards for multiple purposes. But imagine that if every loyalty program that has a card now starts doing that, you basically either have to end up with now not only 20 apps on your phone, but like 20 credit cards in your wallet. On the other side, you have the choice to just earn less points and less miles, so getting less value. So I don't really know how intelligent that move is. Also, if you look at the higher tiers, you basically give them much less value, although they actually are very loyal members, and only because they're not using your card, you're basically giving them less reward. So, I mean, bottom line, they're telling you, hey, either get our card, or you get less reward. So, from a communication perspective and from a strategic perspective, I don't know how, like, forcing people, I don't know if that's really the right strategy to go.
Can I ask a follow-up? We were talking a little bit in our predictions show about subscription loyalty programs. Do you think that's them moving a little bit into that category, where maybe like the credit card annual fee is kind of like being seen as maybe the entry price to getting into these rewards?
Not really. I mean, at the end of the day, like, I think the right communication in this case would have been, hey, these are our old earn rates. If you want to earn more, get the card. So imagine that they give you as a general member, instead of 5 miles, they will give you 7 miles, right? So it stays the same, but they actually give you more if you get the card. Same with the subscription. You could say, hey, pay, I don't know, $9.90 a month, right? And instead of getting 5 miles per dollar, you will get 7 miles per dollar plus some other benefits, right? And lounge access, etc., per year, and so on.
Mhm.
So I think it's much better to go in the direction of, hey, if you do this on top, you actually get more, instead of saying, hey, if you don't do this, you will get less.
Right.
It's always like punishment is always less accepted than, let's say, at the end of the day, motivational incentive to basically get more out of your program if you also have the card. So I think it's just, let's say, from a strategic communication, at least from my feeling, it's the wrong approach, because people do not like to be really forced in certain directions, and this is clearly forcing them, because you take stuff away from them, you take
Mhm.
value away from them if they don't do something specific, which kind of sounds like a threat. And if you don't do this, then that happens. So I think it doesn't really matter if it's a subscription or if it's a card or whatever you want to push at the end of the day as a loyalty program. You should build it up as a bonus. And obviously, if you gave too many miles at the beginning, and maybe that's also one of the points, that 5 miles they saw at a certain point, hey, okay, this is too much. Instead of devaluing the loyalty currency, right? Because that would be one approach. I can devalue the loyalty currency so that the
Mhm.
5 miles don't cost me that much on my books. What they're doing is basically, okay, they're putting it down and telling you, hey, but you have the option to get the card, and then you get even more. I think that was their thought process. Which again, I don't think that people, also what I was reading, I don't think that people really took it in a good way.
It's true. Yeah, it was a little bit of a controversial move, especially for, I mean, the main reasons being what we're going to probably dive into in just a second. They're also, just to add to the whole pushing of the cards narrative, United cardholders also, it's been announced that they'll be getting at least a 10% discount on all United Award flights. And for those that have the premier status, it goes up to 15%. So you can really see their main focus is now trying to drive these cards up as much as possible. But Gianluca, quickly over to you then. Would you agree with what Gabriela says, or maybe you have some extra takes of your own?
Yeah, I think with the pushing of the cards, no doubt about it. But I have the feeling that this most likely happened because they noticed that they're spending too much money on the loyalty program. That's what I would have imagined, and they can offset it with the credit card if they earn fees and if they earn miles issuance through the credit card. So I would have imagined, or I would have guessed, that it's most likely because of that, and they just
Mm-hmm.
straight up communicated it like that, like such. So, okay, if you're part of the mileage plus program but don't have a card, you earn this amount, and if you have a card, you earn more, making it so that the points that they give out on the cards are actually paid for, or are paid for in more, let's say, making it more viable economically. And to be honest, at first when I read the headline, I read it wrong. In my head, I read it wrong, and I thought that they had earnings slashes last year as a
Oh,
company. So that's why they had to that's why they had to reduce the points, which maybe could be,
would
and
also make sense. Yeah.
that's also something that they had to decide, is that their profit margins maybe were too low, and that on the side of the how do you say, on the side of the redemptions for the points, they were there were too many redemptions, and thus they had a little bit less profit. So
Mm-hmm.
they thought, okay, let's reduce that so people can't spend as much. But if they go through the credit card, we earn a little more on the credit card side, so we can offset that. That, I don't know. That was my first impression, especially after reading it wrong, and then I read it right, and yeah, might be more so pushing the card, but could also be an economics topic.
All right. We'll jump into now the sort of juice of the entire article, because changes like this happen quite frequently, but the real sort of thing that caused a lot of discussion was this shakeup that we're seeing here, which applies then to the general members. So general members not very happy with a lot of these changes. It's been pretty brutal for them, you might almost say. Wait, where is it? Here it is. There we go. That's the right one. Yeah. So you'll need to be a card holder or have United Premier Elite status if you want to earn any miles at all on basic economy tickets. So that was the thing that people are talking about. That's what like kind of the titles and all the headlines are, and why it's like controversial. Of course, the media tries to go through and see what's going to be the most clickbaity thing. And essentially, if you're a general member, you cannot earn miles anymore for economy flights. So that is quite tough, and I think the reason it went so big is because it's something that gets read by a lot of people, because that does represent a good portion of the population, I think, is people that don't fly that frequently, that only fly economy, but still do like to carry and earn some of these miles. So now they're basically, it feels like they're kind of saying, listen, if you want to get all of the crazy and awesome benefits that we have, we need a little something from you as well, sort of, it's like it kind of feels that way in so far as what they're saying. It's kind of interesting. Again, this move has been quite scrutinized, just because, number one, removing mileage earning for like non-card holders, you get sort of the direction that they might be trying to go in, where you think hopefully their general members will buy up. But at what point do then the general members think, okay, maybe that will just make me look at the competitors more instead? So if they want to go and switch over finally to JetBlue, Southwest, whatever it is, a different one. So yeah, let's hear some takes maybe about this kind of decision here, because I don't know if it's like the first time we've seen it, but it is definitely the first time I've seen it. So I don't know if you guys have seen something like this before, but yeah, I mean, maybe just gathering some takes on this thing. Gianluca, maybe we can hop right back over to you. What are your thoughts around this?
Sure. Actually, after this, I have the feeling that what I thought initially holds even stronger now. Thinking, okay, that's also maybe something I'm not 100% sure what the ratios are on mileage earning across the status. So if general members are the majority of the status holders, and if they earned, well, now they don't earn anymore, but if they earned the majority of the points across the whole pool of members, then this to me makes even more sense that it's an economics topic and not, it's more of an economics topic and less of a card push, because I'm also sure that the card existed since a long time. It's not like they just issued the cards and they're like, hey, we need to push it as hard as possible because it's new and we want to be competitive. To me, if the general members are the majority of the miles earners, especially with economy, then this makes more sense, because then they literally have the majority of the pool not earning any miles if they don't hold the credit cards or the cards, meaning that they don't have to issue points without having that benefit of maybe earning a little bit more on the fees through the cards. That's, I don't know, that's something that I'm thinking about right now that could make it like that, because this is pretty strong.
Yeah,
very strong move.
What do you think, Gabriele? Do you echo the sentiment? Do you agree?
I don't know if I will call it a strong move. I will call it more a dumb move, to be fully honest.
Strong ball sense.
No, I know what you mean. No, at the end of the day, I mean, if you just think about the setup of a plane, you have maybe 5% first class, 10-15% business class seats, and the rest is economy. And obviously, everybody booking economy doesn't want to spend money or can't spend money on a business or first class seat. So you basically take away the rewards for 80% of your passengers, and you force them to get a card, which most of them won't do, because it's also a matter of, if I have less money to actually get, let's say, a premium seat, I also have more issues to go through another application process of a credit card. maybe I don't even own a credit card, maybe I own a debit card. That's why I'm actually like booking also an economy flight and so on. So for me, there is 0 point on actually literally like the whole long tail of passengers and of members. You basically take them away the whole value of the program. Plus also
Right.
you actually do the barrier as low as possible there, because you want as many members to actually enter the program, right, to grow it as fast as possible. And then on the other side, you want to actually make it more difficult to get the status. So it should be, it's like at the end of the day, like a game. Like you can start a game very simple, right? And then obviously the more you want to grow in that game, the more you have to play, the more you have to do, and the more you have to be engaged to actually get to a certain status. And here they basically tell you, listen, if you can't afford a business seat, or if you can't afford enough like our card, or enough flights so that you actually get to a certain status, you won't get anything.
Mm.
So I really don't get it, because again, like economy seats make a big amount of your flight. So I don't know why you actually should start there slashing rewards and incentives. And on the other side, you also have the topic that a lot of people actually book through, like if they make a let's say a business travel, right? They actually
Mhm.
book through the company. Maybe they have a company card that has nothing to do with the United card, because it's just like the company doesn't think about which kind of loyalty program do you want to have, and then they get you that card, right? But they have like their company accounts, they have those credit cards, they give them to their team members, or they book through those cards, and that's it. So you don't even have a choice how you actually book that flight, right? Or you have to start suddenly to actually book your flight yourself, then put it as an expense, put it in a report, wait, I don't know, 1-2 months until those expenses are actually approved, and then you get the money
Mm.
back. So like they make the life of their passengers and their members, honestly, just much more difficult, which is literally going against every business rule, because you should make the life of your customer easier, and you should provide value, and not taking them away stuff just because you want to push your cards. So again, for me, like this shows even more that they go in a really wrong direction, and I don't really know how. I mean, let's see. We'll see on the numbers in the next 12 to
Yeah.
20 months what actually happens. But from my perspective, it's not the right move. It's not the right move at all.
I just, by the way, just while you were explaining, I was just out of curiosity, I googled the earnings, and it's interesting that I just saw on Yahoo Finance, United Airlines Holdings Inc. has already reported fourth quarter and full year 2025 results, posting record quarterly revenue and full year revenue with higher net income. Management credited strong premium and loyalty revenue growth, record passenger number volumes, and operational reliability, while outlining 2026 ambitious plans. So it's interesting to see that they had actually what I said maybe is completely out the window if they had a record-breaking 2025, but they are down 5%. So who knows?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is attributed to maybe just gathering the wrong conclusions after a strong performance. I think it was really interesting because, like, in our childhoods, or at least in mine, you know, I grew up as a WoW kid, as a World of Warcraft kid, and Blizzard was the company behind it, and they were doing super well because it was like the most successful game of all time at the time. And then they brought out a game that was like on mobile and like had a subscription base and everything. And it just completely blindsided the entire community. And there was like a meme that spawned of it where a guy came up after the announcement and said on speakerphone, "Is this an out of season April Fool's joke?" And everybody just kind of like echoed that sentiment. And it was just a clear example of maybe a company getting a little bit too confident or reading into numbers and thinking that they can make some of these bolder moves without repercussion. Maybe it's something to do with that after a highly successful year. I mean, it's been generally a successful year for the entire travel sector. Like we've seen, I think just a couple of hours ago, even Etihad also brought out some graphics, some infographics about how big and how like actually massive the growth of their business was in 2025, it could be interesting for maybe people to in the business to misunderstand maybe the reason for why that was, and to get to a level where we can say, okay, maybe now now that we're at this level, maybe we can confidently slash the general members and like really try to push the cards. Could that be maybe why like they would make a decision like this? Because when asking, I mean, it does sound like not a smart decision hearing that from basically all three of us. But what would drive the actual decision like that to be made? Like, in which board meeting would somebody say, hey, let's do this, and everybody else thinks this is a good idea?
Maybe they also want to. A good illustration, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if maybe they also decided to push the brand to become more premium, because that also sounds to me like they're undervaluing general members and undervaluing what they can earn. It just becomes to me also more apparent. Okay, as a general member, you really like they don't care about you in that sense.
If you want to be,
it sounds like that.
Premium, then just up your service, up your quality, and up the price. Very simple.
Yeah.
Like if you can't do that,
maybe this will follow. This article is so new. Maybe next week they'll come with United Airlines has increased their prices by 50%.
Like you should start with actually giving more quality, giving more service, increasing the price, and then honestly, you anyways know that there you will make more money, so you can also keep the incentives at the same place. Again, not giving general members any rewards, you will piss off so many people, and they will do one simple thing. They will just check for another airline. Very simple.
Right. 100%. And just to put like a pin on this topic now, there have been like a couple of benefits that were included. So like we mentioned, like I mentioned before, the discount for the card holders starting at 10% can go all the way to 15% on United award flights. There was also a kind of interesting new initiative that they're trying, which is the ability to share your benefits with your children. So starting also April 2nd, you can link your child's Mileage Plus account to your own to share your card member earning rate and card member discount on award flights. If you're booking travel for the whole family, you can help your child earn a chunk of miles or save some miles on a redemption. So that is kind of almost a kind of dark horse thing, because it is, again, kind of a first of its kind, and is maybe an interesting, subtle little play to do generational loyalty at some point, actually. Saying like you can start earning for your kid, and then once your kid turns, I don't know, 16, 17, 18, it's like, here's your account. You already have this many miles. You're already on the program.
And then he's disconnected, and he goes back to general member and doesn't earn anything.
And also the thing is, like, which customers, I mean, we're not talking about banking, like a saving accounts, where actually, you know, a parent thinks about, okay, I put some money aside because a college fund, like for the college fund, for whatever, like it is, like, I don't know, when you get married and all of this stuff, like for big milestones in your life, like you still have to be very aware that it's loyalty points that you use for a flight. Like, which parent thinks about, hey, let me save some money for the next 16, 17, 18 years. I know money, sorry, points. Yeah. So, yeah, it's a nice try.
Well, maybe in the next 10, 15 years, there will be an infrastructure provider that created an extremely liquid and valuable loyalty economy.
What are you talking about?
Oh, that sounds good. What are you talking about? All right. But this was really interesting. I'm sure we're going to revisit this maybe towards the end of the year or something, or maybe even sooner, depending on what the results end up being. But yeah, we do notice in the media, they do also like to revisit some of these new programs and initiatives and see if they've been working or how they've been working. So yeah, we're definitely going to be diving back into that one, because this is a new one. This is one that's seeming to try and change the status quo. Whether or not that's going to be successful, yeah, you've heard all of our opinions. Now we're going to get back to it a little bit later. But now we go from something that's officially come out to something that's a little bit more speculative. We're going to dive into Airbnb because, I mean, this was one of those really big paradigm shifting companies that rode on the sort of Silicon Valley wave to become hugely successful and has become now basically the #1 online booking platform when it comes to renting places. And we have had an article come out recently where Brian Chesky, the CEO, reveals Airbnb's loyalty program tests. So this has been something that people have been speculating on quite a lot recently. There were rumors already that there was going to be an Airbnb loyalty platform. And I think the reason that people are so curious about this is, I mean, #1, it's Airbnb, right? It's one of those big companies. And 2, because of their innovative approach to bookings and how they were able to completely change things up in the industry, I think people are expecting a similar level maybe of innovation when it comes to how their loyalty program is going to work, because we've had all of these other booking platforms come out. They all have their own sort of iterations of loyalty points. And so the question has always been, Airbnb never had one. What's it going to look like? And it's been pretty interesting to read some of these things. In general, it feels like they're kind of going in the direction that you would expect them to. But yeah, so generally speaking, just to put things a little bit more blatantly so that everybody can get it, this is directly from the article. Unlike typical loyalty programs based on points accumulation, Airbnb's approach promises to be more innovative, offering a range of exclusive perks that may provide travelers with significant advantages and unique experiences. So it's basically what you can see here is Chesky has hinted that this new model is not going to be a conventional points-based system. Instead, Airbnb's version of loyalty will emphasize meaningful benefits such as priority bookings, exclusive discounts, and enhanced services for frequent travelers. The goal of this approach is to enhance customer retention and to provide value to Airbnb's diverse user base. So this is, I mean, again, people are relatively, I guess, like, I don't want to say completely euphoric or whatever, but like they're relatively elated about in which direction they're wanting to go. I think people in general would have been a bit, it would have been a very neutral story if they were just saying, okay, we're bringing out a point system. That would have been kind of lackluster news. But in this case, yeah, it's looking to be something different. It seems to have a bit more of a focus on, again, a long-running topic on this podcast, which is experiential benefits, right? Rather than anything else, actually valuing the loyal side and rewarding that loyalty with a better experience on the platform, a more exclusive experience on the platform. So first of all, let's just gather some general thoughts. This would be kind of this is going to be like, whenever it comes out, I think it's going to be something that will be very, very closely examined by a lot of people. What do you think? Maybe Gabriele, starting with you. If a company with the size and prestige of Airbnb is bringing out a loyalty program, A, what are some of the most important things to keep in mind? And B, based on what we're reading so far with this article, how do you think their approach has been so far, considering it's going to come out sometime this year?
I mean, obviously it's positive that they're finally rolling out a loyalty program. I think they're thinking about it since years. I'm always a bit biased when I read stuff like it's not a conventional point system, meaningful benefits such as priority bookings, exclusive discounts, and enhanced services. It's like, I don't know. My competitor is having an e-commerce store, and I'm also having an e-commerce store, and the pictures in my e-commerce store look a bit better than the other one. So it's not like, it's literally, it's always like everybody cooks with water. So it's always the same mechanics. It's about how do you actually execute them, because meaningful benefit, if you talk about meaningful benefits, right, and you talk about priority bookings, that's here since years. Exclusive discounts, boring AF. Enhanced services for frequent travelers, what are those enhanced services, right? So it's always about, again, how can you make the life of your customer easier, and how can you deliver more value, right? And these mechanics like points, statuses, perks, again, it's like, if you think about it, it's like, okay, I have an e-commerce store, I have a social media account. It's like tools that you have, and then it depends how you execute them. So it has nothing to do with being conventional, like a point system being conventional. Every game that comes out has a point system. Why
Hmm.
game designer implement point systems? Why do they implement perks? Why do they implement statuses? And it's, I think, basically every game that you check out, always, you have always the same mechanics in there, and then it depends how you actually execute them and how you integrate them in the user journey, in the customer journey, that they actually become valuable, right? So for me, it's a bit of a, like, they try to be or to sound better than others because they won't have a conventional point system, but at the end of the day, it's, points are a measurement of, at the end of the day, how engaged are you with the brand, right? And then you can use those points so that I can get something on top, or you can use those points to actually, let's say, measure a certain status of a customer. You give also a certain, you give a certain, how do you call it? You make it tangible on how engaged you are. I mean, I use, for example, a loyalty program where I literally do not see how far am I away from my status. So I literally have to go to the support. I need to ask them. Like, I literally had to at the end of year, like, hey, how far am I from my status, so that I know what do I need to do to keep it, right? It has
Yeah.
nothing to do with, like, with customer, with let's say a state of the art customer journey. So in general, super positive that they will finally implement the loyalty program. Um, for me, when you launch these kind of communications, it's much more important that you actually focus on what kind of value are you delivering. Just talking about enhanced services, okay, nice. What is it? You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I think one big difficulty they will have is that they don't own the um,
Properties.
they don't own the properties, correct? So it will also be super difficult to actually, and I'll make a simple example. Like, now, when I did a few trips to Dubai, I always checked out Airbnb, right? And, like, depending on what flight I'm taking, I arrive pretty late, meaning that
Hmm.
I arrive 11 p.m., 12 a.m., etc. So when I then was reading, for example, the conditions, or like the check-in times, checkout times, and so on, um, it was always, hey, if you check in after that time, you have to pay this on top, and you have to basically define the time with the person, and so on. Now, we all know that not flights are not always in time. There can be a queue at the immigration, there can be a queue at the luggage. It might be that you don't get your luggage, it's delayed, blah blah blah. So it makes your user experience, like, less valuable, just because you can't control the whole flow, right? They don't control
Yeah.
end-to-end customer journey. So I already there, I, for example, see issues. Also, the topic of one perk that hotels, for example, give you if you reach a certain status is late checkout. And I mean, most Airbnbs that I saw is always checkout at 11.
True.
And, like,
Hmm.
I'm, most of the times, I'm like one of the customers that always asks for late checkout, just because, like, if, of course, if I have the flight super early and I don't need the late checkout, I don't ask for it. But now, last few times, I always had late flights, so I asked for a late checkout, right? And those are things that Airbnb won't be able to control, which actually give you that premium experience. So it's, I wonder how they will be actually able to give you valuable perks so that your customer journey becomes more and more seamless and more valuable. Because, again, as an hotel like Marriott Bonvoy, they control the hotel, they control the property, so they can clearly set the rules on how you actually treat a gold member, how you treat a member with, let's say, that stays a certain amount of nights, and so on. And there you have, every property has their own boss,
Hmm.
and Airbnb has no influence on how that person actually delivers you the customer journey. And that's where I think honestly that if you can't deliver valuable perks that actually enhance the customer journey, points become even more relevant, because one of the only things that you actually deliver is giving back something. And the other thing is also, if I read about, I think I was reading something about Airbnb credits, right? Most times these credits are like a cash based, like it's at the end of the day a cashback. It gives you the biggest so I have to say it another way, gives you the least amount of flexibility if you actually want to play around with different cost models of your points. Because what an airline does, for example, is they give you 1,000 miles. Now, if you convert those 1,000 miles into a flight, you get a pretty high value. If you convert those 1,000 miles into a gift card, the value is lower, but they can play around with it. If they get a new partner on board and they want to push that partner, they can actually play with the value of those points and basically set the redemption value in a way that you actually get more or less out of it, but it's your decision. Now, every time you use credits or cashback, you have zero of that, because you basically tell me, okay, you get 1% back, for example, on $1,000. Nice. Now I have $1,000, I have $10 in my account. What can I actually do with it? The next trip that I do where I spend another $1,000, I get $10 less.
Yeah.
Makes me feel amazingly.
Yeah,
So
that's fair.
that's where I think it will be quite challenging for them to actually build a program that really delivers value and is on the same standard as a hotel program.
It'll be very curious to see how it develops. I mean, right now, like we said, we only have basically the words that are in this article. So it really feels like it's either a sort of just a fanning the flames of speculation at the moment, or there was just like some insurmountable community pressure about finally sharing a couple of things about this program. Because that's kind of how it feels like in the article. They're being quite sparse, quite vague with their wording. They're talking about these experiences and whatever. And like Gabriela said, it could either be because A, they haven't figured it out yet, or B, they're just putting in some of these buzzwords that they know people are going to like and appreciate and might like satisfy them at least until some more actual tangible news comes out.
I know what you mean, but you're always dancing on a very fine line. If you, I mean, I'm just reading one of the quotes. Chesky explicitly stated that Airbnb will not launch traditional get 10 nights, get one for free points program. He views those as a subsidy for lack of true loyalty and wants something more interesting and novel. If you make a statement like that, and you basically say all the other travel programs, hotel programs, frequent flyers, and so on, that are hugely successful, that like really hugely successful, you need to give a bit more substance if you get out an article like that, or at least your PR team should tell you either we don't go out at all with that communication, or we actually put more substance in there that actually creates a wow effect. Otherwise,
maybe it's also just scoping the market. I mean, there you go. You gave valuable feedback. It's maybe they say, let's have that be vague. Let's be vague and see how people react, see what people comment, and out of that we get valuable data.
But you have millions of users and millions of property owners. Just make a survey. You will get 10, 20K.
Maybe this was easier.
Oh, but like, let's be honest, like you get, and you can tell them you get a $10 voucher to use on Airbnb. So it's like, it's so easy. It's so easy with the amount of users that you have and customers that you have to actually make a survey, understand what they actually want, test a few different things there, and then you can make an article. And then you can even say, hey, based on customer feedback, we know that points are not relevant for them. That's a perfectly legit, let's say, statement. And it's not your opinion that points are not valuable, because at the end of the day, who cares about you as a CEO? Like, you make money because your customers buy your product. So ask your customers, ask them, do you like points? Yes or no? If all of them say no, perfect. Put in an article, hey, after talking with our customers, after serving our customers, they don't like points. Perfect. We won't have any points in our system. Complete legit answer. But it makes you also much more credible and not like just shitting on point systems that literally were here before your company was even born. and make in most cases more profit than most probably you. So again, like for me, it's all those opinionated.
I mean, the quote that you mentioned to me just sounds like he just gave his opinion.
Correct.
He's not an expert in loyalty, so he probably just thought, you know what, 10 nights, 1-3.
As a data-driven company, as a tech company, literally, that does things based on data, your opinion is worth. That's it.
Yeah, but it sparks more conversation than, hey, the raw data shows this. This is why we do this. We are robots. It's an article. It's an interview. It's supposed to spark conversation. Look at us. We're having a discussion about it.
Very positive discussion.
I think what Arnaud mentioned as is more probable to fanning the fires of speculation and giving those a bit more, so people talk about it. And maybe as innocent as also just having a conversation. In the interview, he just gave his opinion and starts talking about what he imagines or what they're talking about in the background. Because it's so vague also with the enhanced services and priority check-in and priority bookings and so on, that to me it just sounds like they're scoping and understanding what they want to do. And he just said a few times his opinion and vaguely said what they're looking at, to give some ideas, some direction, but enough for speculation to be there and conversation to be had. I mean, in the end, yeah, the fact that they're doing anything in the direction of loyalty is pretty big, considering that the whole travel industry is heavily built on loyalty programs, and they don't have one. So I think that's already.
I honestly don't see anyone reading that article and say, amazing, they won't have any points. Amazing, they will give you enhanced services.
No, I don't think that's the point. I think what the reaction is, what the F is this guy talking about? He has no clue.
I mean, that's
the whole industry already knows what's going on. Why don't they just do what the industry does?
No, but like it. I mean, I just read here they have 300 million members. You want to tell me that
what you said with the survey? If they gave $10 to 300 million members, bye-bye.
Yeah, you give it. You say the first million members, you spend $10 million, and then you have a really strong loyalty program. I mean, and you actually give the industry, the whole industry, maybe how the future of loyalty looks like, and you can actually say you're a true pioneer in that space. Because you have, I mean, who has 300 million members? Miles & More has 36 million members. I think the airlines are around 100 million members. So you have a crazy amount of customers, and you can actually build something truly valuable, and maybe change the whole space from that perspective. And you're relying on your opinion. Like, who are you?
Maybe it also shows that they don't even need a loyalty program if clearly they've achieved 300 million members.
If you read
platform.
the sentence, this a well-designed loyalty layer will make the platform stickier and lower the cost of reacquisition. We're not even talking about retention. Reacquisition, meaning that you're losing actually, because I'm also one of those 300 million members. I don't know when the last time I booked actually an Airbnb. And every time I had to decide between hotel and Airbnb, I went for hotel because I'm like, I honestly don't want to wait for a guy that then maybe he's there, maybe he's not there.
Yeah.
That if I arrive at 11:30, the guy maybe disappears because I came half an hour later, or maybe the flight is delayed, he doesn't reach me, and I don't get into my Airbnb. I don't want to have that stuff. So
I mean, it used to be cheaper. Like that was the main reason people would use Airbnb, was just because you would save money.
But it's not, because I checked.
Not anymore.
If you want that, I mean, obviously you can make it cheaper.
But you don't have to wait for a guy anymore. By the way, a lot of the doors are locked by codes, or they have the keys in the locks.
My personal experience from the last few times I checked, I always read the description and it was always the same thing. Check-in after blah 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 costs you this much.
And the main thing is, I think a lot of people did leave. I mean, we're just talking now about Airbnb as a business in general now, but like just in general, the general prices did increase because the demand was, I think, noted, and when people had properties, they just like leveled it out because they realized they could raise prices and still get people coming. And I think the big consensus was, there was a survey about this, I don't remember when, I think it was last year or 2 years ago, where people just said, listen, now if I look on a hotel website or on Airbnb, the prices are exactly the same, and I want to be able to go back, and like Gabriela said, check in and check out whenever I want, or within this time frame, and then also have my bed made for me when I'm out, and also have complimentary breakfast and everything, rather than having to do everything myself. When you
100%.
compare it like that, it becomes pretty clear.
100%.
Yeah.
That's why, from my perspective, it's good that they have a loyalty program. It's just like, think about your business and think, how do you actually have to set up the program so that it actually makes the life of your customer easier and you can give more value, and at the same time it brings you more value as a company. Because otherwise, again, but in general, I don't like high level statements and opinions that don't say anything. Like, that's in general for me. I don't like that. So I would wish, from a guy that I actually respect, like Brian Chesky, I think I'm serious, like one of the most successful founders ever, built a huge company from nothing. I just expect more. You have 300 million members. Do a survey, ask your customers, come with the results.
Or maybe better.
Huh?
Or maybe he knows better given what he's achieved.
I think it's more about the timing of the article rather than anything else. I think that's like the main subject matter of this whole thing, right? Is the fact that like nobody asked for this article, really. Like, why did they bring it out in the first place when, like you guys said, like you both said, they could have brought something out that's much more tangible, maybe 3 months from now, where they actually have some fixed things, like, here's what you get, this, and this. And then it would make a lot more sense.
Even give a feeling in which direction, like, they're thinking, but it's like giving just a bit more tangible insights in how they're thinking and in which direction they're going, just for the sake of giving out an article. And then, I mean, what is the value of this article to be now, okay, people know Airbnb is thinking about a loyalty program. Amazing. You could have done a social media post. Essentially, you don't need a press release with, like, as a customer, let's say, as a customer of Airbnb, what do I get out of this?
Yeah, I mean, all it does is it makes you look forward to the next article, I guess. Otherwise, you have nothing to go off of, really.
Yeah. Maybe.
All right. Any final thoughts about this before we move on to the next topic?
Brian, do it better next time.
Hop on the show. Explain yourself. Give some.
We'll help you.
Let us know if you need any support on designing the program.
No, honestly, just on a serious note, though, I am curious to. I think on a technical level, what Gabriela said before regarding the fact that they don't own the properties directly, and that actually, in a sense, even with experiences, Airbnb is actually a marketplace. So it's like not like an eBay, but it's sort of like an Amazon in a way, where you have the platform and everyone puts their properties and everyone comes to rent the properties. So it's not about the properties themselves that they own. So I'm really curious to see how they will create the loyalty program that works with the platform and is not dependent on the behaviors of the property managers. Because one thing that Gabriela pointed out that I feel like is extremely important, especially when there's status differences, is that everyone at Marriott, for example, or everyone at any hotel that works there is instructed to treat members of a higher status or of the highest status differently. That which is part of the experience of being the highest elite tier status of the loyalty program. So you are also treated with, you're also greeted with that kind of treatment. Having that instilled into every property manager that is something that is extremely difficult,
True.
if not impossible,
Possible.
in 100% capacity. So, I mean, obviously, also employees of hotels don't always do as instructed and have their own little sauce here and there, but it's a lot easier to control. So I'm very curious to see, either way, whatever they decide to do or however they go, I'm really curious to see how they are able to give value to the customers or to their users in a way that is not dependent on the property managers or properties in general, but is maybe more platform or even experiences, because there's also experiences that are not owned by or managed by them. So even there, and at the same time, property managers and experience managers being happy with the way it's managed, because if you get 10% off or whatever it may be, Airbnb has to pay for that. So it's also an economics game that they have to play. So I'm super curious to see how it evolves.
I think this is also a topic that we're probably going to be revisiting later in the year when the big announcement comes out and everybody's talking about it. And yeah, we'll be here to break that down as well. If it's this year, of course. People always say it's this year, but somehow, yeah. Anyway, you mentioned Marriott, and that's actually the perfect segue, because that is actually the topic of the next thing. So we've had two things where we've sort of criticized, but now we're sort of doing a little bit of, I guess, success celebration, I would say. So this one is namely accredited towards Marriott, not to mention Marriott Bonvoy, and their crazy numbers that they've been able to share recently. So to name the title here, Marriott added over 40 million loyalty members in 2025. So to be specific, 43 million new members have been added to the Marriott Bonvoy loyalty program in 2025 alone, ending the year with a whopping 271 million members. This comes from an earnings report that came out just on Tuesday. And yeah, some other interesting numbers that they've shared has been, for example, the penetration of the loyalty programs growing from 58 to 68%. Also talking about the sort of main drivers that might have actually caused this huge spike in numbers. And I think, it's also quite clear. So it says here, Marriott has fueled the growth of its loyalty programs with partnerships with companies like Uber and Starbucks, according to their president and CEO. Also features like Envoy Moments, which lets customers redeem points for unique experiences. Go ahead. Hey, another one of our buzzwords over here. Play a role as well. So, just some pretty staggering numbers when it comes to the Marriott side. And I think this even maybe gets me curious enough to actually start looking for numbers from some of these other hotel loyalty programs to see if they're comparable or if this is really like one big crazy standout moment from Marriott. But it really seems like a lot of stuff is being done correctly. I mean, you can talk about the points economies and stuff like that, but just being able, just the fact that you can say that you added 43 million new members is an achievement in and of itself. So that's already something pretty huge. They've had these lifestyle partnerships, Starbucks and Uber. Let's start by breaking it down. I mean, Gabriele, when it comes to the success that we are noticing here, I mean, obviously these are crazy numbers. A, general thoughts, and then B, these partnerships, like how would these partnerships then help to actually drive the growth to the level that we've seen last year?
I mean, I think Marriott is the perfect example how these partnerships actually drive value, not only from an economical perspective and giving your users more value, but actually also driving more new members to your program. And I mean, they work with Starbucks and Uber, so anyways, companies with huge amount of customer bases. So obviously, you have a lot of potential there to acquire new customers. So honestly, crazy numbers. I wasn't even aware that they have 271 million members.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Crazy.
Speaking of the 300, so
literally, and I mean, this is members.
Mm-hmm.
This is
real humans.
This is not hotel guests. Because Airbnb talks about 300 million customers. They're not yet loyalty program members, so they still have to enroll. So this is really crazy. And honestly, I love Marriott Bonvoy. I love also Marriott hotels and so on. Every time I go somewhere, I try to book Marriott hotels. So, and honestly, like from now, thinking, yeah, no, actually, I would say the last 2 years, the experiences were always amazing. Like you actually get treated like a loyal customer. Um, they besides the when you get to the reception, thank you for your loyalty, which is nice. It's not something I need, but it's like kind of nice. But it's literally every time you need something, it's either a late checkout or you don't like the room, and you want another room and so on. They always try to give you actually to accommodate you with your requests. So I think from a service perspective, also from a price value ratio, they're really strong. And again, like for sure, quality service and then let's say price is fully aligned and top notch. And that's also why I think it drives a lot of people into the Bonvoy program. Also super easy to use. Again, they have super strong partnerships. Now, for me personally, they have a partnership with Miles and More. So if I book Marriott, I actually get like status points with Miles and More, which is also amazing. And I think those are really the kind of partnerships that drive value for the customer and then ultimately for you as a company. So I think, and again, like Airbnb was always in competition with Marriott as an example. Like I literally had both pages open, Marriott on one side, Airbnb on the other side, and was checking which locations, what benefits, what are the conditions, etc. And every time Marriott won. Although I had to spend maybe 10-15% more than Airbnb, the benefits that I got were just so much better that I was fine to actually paying that price, right? So I think again, amazing performance. And like looking forward, I mean, with 271 million members, you can actually start building a huge cash machine with this program. Because if you think about that, a United, etc., like the top three, let's say, airline programs, they generate I think around $10 billion revenue with around 120 million members. Imagine what a Marriott can do if they actually start building a huge partner network and start monetizing their points. We're talking about 20-30 billion dollars that they can generate just with the loyalty program, and another, I don't know, $6 to $10 billion of profit for the whole group. So this is they're building a huge cash machine, and I'm really curious how they will monetize it in the next couple of years, because that's a huge opportunity for them.
It seems like they're kind of doing everything correctly, especially when you just talk about your stays there. It feels like it's like an appropriate balance of customer experience and benefits, and just being able to balance the two of those exactly right, I think, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, again, like you really feel like you're getting appreciated as a customer, and you don't even have to. Most times you have to remind people that you're this and this status, so that they actually then do something. I mean, I remember last time I was in Dubai, I literally booked the cheapest room, and since I'm like Gold Elite, I know I have upgrades, obviously on availability, but they upgraded me, I think, 2-3 levels of what the room that I actually booked. So I had an amazing experience. I
Nice.
didn't even have to ask for late checkout. They asked me themselves, like, "Sir, do you want to have late checkout?" Like, yeah, that would be amazing. So it's like these kind of things that actually make the customer experience super valuable. Every time I get there, now obviously I was now a few times at the hotel, um, staff members, welcome back, sir, and so on. It's not like you actually feel, honestly, actually feels a bit like home, because you know everyone, they know you, they know your face. You really get that feeling of, you really get the feeling of you're being treated as a loyal customer, and they actually
Nice.
appreciate your loyalty. And I think that's, from an emotional perspective, one of the most important things. And the crazy thing is, I didn't even have the possibility to redeem some of the points. So it's not even that I'm talking about a transactional perspective, because I didn't have enough points to actually get a stay with points. So it's crazy that I didn't even have that transactional value, and still it gave me so much back just by treating, let's say, me as a customer and a certain status member the right way, and giving me those smaller perks like room upgrades, late checkout, complimentary breakfast, and all of that stuff, which is, let's say, which really makes the trip more valuable and much more enjoyable. And I think that's all about it, that you want to have a customer walking out with a smile out of your hotel.
To just add a little something to that, then we also have another article that came out at pretty much the same time, this time from the Points Guy, so a site that most people in the loyalty sector know, recognizing Marriott Bonvoy as well as the world's leading hotel loyalty program. Just seems like a very big winning year, 2025 for them. Also, Gianluca, a staggering amount of new members. Do you have any extra takes on this success? Would you attribute it to anything else, or do you think Gabriel has summed it up basically?
I think, yeah, pretty much summed it up. And one thing I also noticed myself when using, I'm not as avid of a user of Marriott Bonvoy as Gabriela now in this case, but I have also used it before, and I use it whenever I can, or whenever I go somewhere. I do check it out, because that's also the whole point of having these loyalty programs, to actually check them out and use them.
Right.
And I have to say that just from a user experience perspective, in terms of the booking flow, or the apps, the websites, everything, you do see how the loyalty program is fully integrated into the user experience. It's not an afterthought, which is also one of those things that loyalty programs often become. Oh yeah, we're giving value back to our customers. Oh yeah, we have something to incentivize our customers to be part of or be repeat customers. But it's sort of an afterthought, whereas you really see with Marriott Bonvoy, it's a core part of the booking process. It's a core part of the experience of going to a Marriott hotel. And I think that also contributes a lot to the success of the platform. Because if you, as a customer, and let's say a non-member, are reminded in every single step of the booking process that you get better options as a member. And literally, I've actually seen them. I think the first time I signed up to Marriott Bonvoy was actually for that reason, is that it shows you the rates, and then it gives you the extra, like, small perks that you get for being a member. In that moment, you don't think twice, because if in every step you're reminded of essentially what you're losing out on with a simple registration, you're not going to think twice. If you see 5% off for the room because you remember, or you see, as Gabriele maybe mentioned, you have late checkout, or you have, I don't know, one spa treatment included. I also saw that once at a hotel when I booked. I thought, okay, wait, why am I not a member if I can get this right now? And you sort of can't escape that, or I mean, in terms of being reminded what you get, that you automatically think, okay, I see what it's worth to be a member. Let me become a member. It's not something that I have to be told, or I only see afterwards once I booked, which a lot of loyalty programs often do. Is you buy something, you buy a service or a product, and afterwards you're told, hey, look, by the way, here we have a loyalty program. If you buy again, you'll get this many points, or this is what you get as a loyalty program. No, it's as you are buying, as you are booking, you're told what you get. And yeah, I'm confident that's what pushes this program so hard, and how much success they've had in the past years, and especially last year.
I would also say it's a bit of it's definitely, in this case, what helps them stand out, I think, is also the sort of effort question. So making all the right decisions, but then also having all of the right, like, manpower and being able to allocate the correct amount of resources to actually make it happen. So just to add a little bit to it, for example, they mention a little bit in the article as well that they're talking about, the natural AI searches, so that you can just type in what you're looking for and get it. That was a kind of a novelty thing literally 2 or 3 weeks ago when Accor Hotels was doing something like that. But now it seems like even already within the span of a month, it's kind of become almost a standard between hotels to actually incorporate something like this. And then on top of everything else, you've got the points guy mentioning also the experiential rewards. So talking about how the program broadened its reach with the additions of Citizen M and the Outdoor Collection, so that members can unlock once-in-a-lifetime experiences through Marriott Bonvoy moments, from exclusive Michelin-starred culinary journeys to groundbreaking musical world tours. Right now it sounds like a shill, but I'm just mentioning like what's actually in the thing. It's helped members to tailor each stay to their preferences, including a lounge filter search and enhanced personalization tools. So just to mention, like, and put everything together, like, we had all of these big buzzwords that we've been talking about in 2025 when it comes to predictions and stuff. We talked about AI, we talked about personalization, we talked about experiences, we talk about, you know, the emotional impact of loyalty and how that has to be pushed. And it feels like they're kind of just ticking every box that's there, you know, in their own way. And it's that sort of balance of everything that's maybe causing it to get this level of, I mean, not just appreciation, but like a huge reputational boost as well, as kind of the maybe gold standard of what a loyalty program should actually look like, especially just in the hotel sector.
100%, yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was really interesting. Are there any other things you guys would like to mention about Marriott before we hop over to the next topic?
No, I just
No.
checked my Bonvoy
Amazing.
account that they didn't ads that I stayed in January. Now I need to go to support. But it's fine. You did a great job, Marriott Bonvoy.
What about maybe a quick follow-up, a question that we've always been talking about, which is dilution. When you add a crazy amount of numbers, how do you add those crazy amounts of numbers, make those 43 million new members feel valued and appreciated, but then also make the most loyal and the most, you know, zealous members of the loyalty program then also feel that they're that much more appreciated than everybody else? I think that's like one of the big things that maybe a lot of these companies kind of struggle with a little bit, because you want to acquire new customers. You also want the loyal customers to feel more loyal. So just maybe we can quickly touch on that briefly. What are some of those things, especially when it comes to like Marriott in particular? Like, is that something that they're going to have to look out for in the future? Or is this like just the part of a life cycle of any hotel? You know, you add a lot of people in with incentives, with good experiences and stuff like that, and then make it move forward. Maybe they're kind of an exception in this case, just because they didn't do any like crazy promotions or discounts to, you know, attract people financially, but it was really just like the partnerships and things like that that were able to bring new people in. I don't know if anybody has any thoughts about this one. I think it's always kind of an important topic when it comes to loyalty, about the exclusivity and the truly loyal, you know, people of a business.
For me, it's a fairly simple formula. Like, for these customers to actually have a certain status, they need to spend a lot of money with you. They need to spend a certain amount of money with you, meaning that from 43 million members, not everybody will become, for example, a gold elite, right? But those that become gold elite, they actually spent a certain amount of money, meaning you have more resources as a company to actually deliver more value. So I think it's pretty simple formula. I think dilution happens when you give out free stuff. In the sense that if you give out too many status match campaigns, as an example, where and I made the example with one of the grocery store here, let's say one of the malls here that had a partnership with Amex Platinum, that where you got the platinum status with the Amex Platinum, and they have only a certain amount of parking spaces for the valet service, as an example. So that was always. Miles and More had the same issue with the lounges. You got too early to a certain status, so lounges were filled with people, and you didn't really get the value and really get the exclusivity factor. So I think it's more that. But if you connect it, that's more loyalty program design at the end of the day. So if you do that well, you shouldn't have that issue, because you get so much more resources, so you earn so much more money from your loyal customers that you actually can reinvest that in giving a much more exclusive experience.
I think we need to keep our eyes probably on Marriott as well for maybe some either recap segments or prediction segments for the end of this year. I think it's going to be a really interesting thing now. They've had a lot of success now with adding new members with these 43 million. The next question, I guess, is what they do with it. It does mention at the bottom of the article, though, that like in general, this is part of a like multi-year strategy that they have to like completely overhaul the way that they tackle everything. So it seems like it's doing quite well so far. We're gonna have to see how it continues if this thing is something that lasts like 2 or 3 years. But yeah, we've got around 18 minutes left, so let's just dive into a little something fun. There's an interesting Forbes article that came out. The article is there loyalty program fatigue? Pretty interesting article, written in a very interesting way. It's a curious one because yeah, it asks a lot of these questions that we've been asking before, but I guess like the angle with which they tackle them is a little bit more on the interesting side. But we can just get started right away, and then we can maybe dive into a little bit of things later. We can break it down. But honestly, like when it talks about all of this stuff, yeah, there's some interesting takes. So why is there loyalty program fatigue with the amount of apps that are out? And the author of the article argues, yes, the market is crowded. Yes, many programs feel interchangeable, but the real question isn't whether customers are tired of loyalty programs. It's whether they're tired of bad loyalty programs. In this article, I'll explain in detail and share some tips on what actually makes loyalty work in a saturated market. So, yeah, they start breaking this down. They talk about a lot of different interesting parts. They talk about the loyalty paradox and say if customers were truly fatigued, we'd see declining signups. That's still not happening. What triggers disengagement? Points that take forever to earn, rewards that feel generic, irrelevant, or out of reach, earn and burn mechanisms with no emotional pull, value that's always promised later, rarely delivered now. From a behavioral standpoint, this isn't fatigue, it's rational choice. Loyalty isn't a program, it's a value exchange. With that exchange feels one-sided, customers don't complain, they simply disengage. How do you say in German? When you say an article hat nicht viel Fleisch, means it doesn't have much
meat to the bone. I think it's similar.
Can you say that in English too? Does that work?
I think so.
Substance, I think, is probably like the more accurate way to put it. Yeah. But in this case, I mean, honestly, it's a target. It's something that we talked about in episode 1. And I think it's something that we've talked about in like half of our episodes since then. And it feels here like it's just a misunderstanding of what loyalty actually is and the difference between a loyalty program and a rewards program, because they are, I think they should be treated generally differently. Even though they are, they do have to do with each other and they are connected, it is something else that's kind of curious. I'm curious about you guys. So number one, just having an article like this, is there loyalty program fatigue? Is this a question that's worth asking? Is this something that is more of just a clickbait title to get people out there, that's meant for those people that have like those 20 different loyalty program apps on their phones and get them to read it? Or like what does the angle of this article look like to you? I would leave the floor open here. I don't know who wants to answer this first.
I have to laugh. Because when I read this, even just the title, is there loyalty program fatigue? I think to myself, is there fashion fatigue? Is there technology fatigue? Like, what the heck are you even talking about? If it, I mean, we just literally come from one article to this. It's worlds, like,
true.
It's the opposite side. One saying almost puts it in the direction of it's dead, we need to rethink it. And the other one's literally saying we've been doing this since 2019 and we just had our best year. So it means
We're almost
it's
at
only
300
been
million
going,
members. Yeah.
exactly. It's only been going up. So clearly, no, there's no loyalty program fatigue. Loyalty programs work, and they're being used to generate more value for the consumers and generate more value for the businesses. And as the article mentions also at the beginning, that a lot of users maybe sign up to get that 15% coupon. Yes, it's all about how the loyalty program is set up. It's the loyalty program design that makes the difference. It's not the fact that a business tries or gives it a shot, because it's also, I think it's implying that businesses shouldn't do that. Okay, yeah, there's a loyalty program fatigue. Consumers are tired of loyalty programs that don't give value. It doesn't say they're not tired of loyalty programs, period. They're tired of loyalty programs that don't give value. But that in and of itself is just human nature. We like to have things that bring us what we want. If it doesn't do that, we naturally disengage from it, to use their words. It's not, that's why I said, do we have a fashion fatigue? It's not like, oh, I don't know, this brand doesn't give me what I want, I'm going to stop wearing clothing. No, I'm just going to go to a different, you know what I'm saying?
It's a good example.
It's not like, oh yeah, Samsung or iPhones or Google phones or Androids, whatever phones, it's not what I wanted, I'm going to stop using phones altogether. No, I'm just going to go to whatever phone manufacturer or phone brand there is that gives me what I want. So maybe long story short, yes, it's clickbaity and it's a bit nonsensical in a way.
I think it also has a lot to do with, maybe with what Gabriele, I think, has talked about in the past, which is about half-assed loyalty programs or half-baked ones that have been talked by people that had like one interesting idea that has like zero data behind it whatsoever, but they wanted to implement it, and it's like, hey, let's like gamify this particular thing, and they go for it, and again, with zero data backing it up, suddenly people engage maybe for the first week, and then eventually it all peters out, and people wonder, oh my god, what could have gone wrong? This seemed like such a surefire thing. It feels like maybe people do kind of fall out of love with some of these programs that way. Like, I have seen that happening with some of my friends, especially when those programs are, like I said, half-baked or not, like just not fully fleshed out and based on data. Maybe that has a little something to it. But Gabriele, let's throw it over to you. I mean, maybe general takes and yeah, I would love to hear your dig on this article.
I 100% agree with Gianluca. Like, if you don't get the value you automatically are fatigued, if they say, as they say. It's like really normal behavior. If I have to wait an eternity to get my shipment that I ordered on an e-commerce store, I get bored, I get angry, and I don't really like the whole customer journey. So it's obvious. And I think with loyalty, and I think this is really, most companies didn't understand that you actually need to make loyalty a strategic priority, therefore invest the resources needed to actually build something that people like, and how difficult it also is. And obviously customers get fatigued if they have every store that they visit, they have to register to as you said, half-assed loyalty program, and have one more app, one more card, one more stamp card, whatever it is in their wallet or in their phone. It doesn't make sense, because it won't generate value. That's why, like, and we see that honestly with so many companies that we have meetings with, and they ask us, I want to build a loyalty program, how can you help us out, and so on. Before I even start talking what we can do for them, I ask them, do you have a team together that will manage the program? Somebody in marketing will do it. Wrong answer. Literally wrong answer. You have the feeling that the guy that is doing social media marketing will also now manage your loyalty program. It won't work. It just won't work. because you actually need at least 2 3 people that actually focus on that program and to actually do something amazing out of it. If you don't have those resources, just connect to a large loyalty program. Just issue miles from a loyalty program that is already existing, that has, I mean, most of these large programs, they have like 2 3 4 500 people working just for the loyalty program itself.
Yeah.
Like those are huge business units, and that's why they're so professional. Marriott doesn't have 2 people working on Bonvoy. That's why they actually can generate so much value. That it's fully integrated in every aspect of Marriott, from a strategic perspective to supply chain to marketing to finance to every department there. And that's really where value is, where you actually can get value out of the program as a company and then also as a customer. So if you don't have those resources, obviously you will produce something that doesn't generate value for the customer, and hence it won't generate any value for you. So that's where most companies make the mistake. They have the feeling, it's super easy. I just buy some tech, I just give out some points, I call some perks VIP experience, and then it's done. But I forget about, hey, I need to train my people on the ground. I need to actually set up my e-commerce store so that it's fully integrated with the customer journey. Hey, I need to talk with the finance department to see how much cash can we actually deliver to users. I mean, how many times did I hear a company say, we have 50K worth of budgets for this year for the loyalty program? I'm like, what do you mean 50K? We don't want to spend more on and not for the tech, actually for the redemptions, right? So the value that we're actually to customer, like, this is not how you look at it. It's like you have to define a certain percentage of your revenue that you find giving back to your customer. No, we can't do that. Then don't have a loyalty program if you can't calculate like that. No, but it's literally like and that's why I also agree it's like a clickbait, because again, at the end of the day, yeah, if you look at the programs in this world, then you can call it a fatigue. Look at the ones that actually work. Look at the ones that actually generate value for customers. And obviously there are always up and downs. Like even the best companies have their, I mean, Apple brought out the fancy virtual glasses. Yeah, it was a huge success. I mean, every company does stuff that sometimes doesn't work, but like from the stuff that actually works. And if you look at the largest programs, again, Marriott didn't acquire 43 million members and is at 271 million members right now by building a program that doesn't deliver value.
Yeah.
So
true.
It's always about the perspective that you take, and again, bad quality, bad service, too high prices, too long deliveries, they will always fatigue people. It's like just a normal thing. People want to have quality, want to pay the right price for it, want to get their value fast. If you don't have that, people will change. Just very simple. The competitor and try to get something better, or they just will. You know what? Where do I have the? How do you call that? People also say that about relationships. Like, with which person do I have the least amount of
red
with
flags?
which problems can I actually live the rest of my life with?
Baggage.
Yeah, right. Because everyone, like, no one is perfect. No company, no person is perfect. So it's more about, okay, with what kind of downsides can I actually live the whole life with? And the smaller those downsides and the higher the value that you actually get, the more people will stick to you. Again, in business,
it's almost like whatever the primary thing is that the business offers is what keeps the customer coming back, not the loyalty program. In this case, it's almost like we're talking about the loyalty of loyalty programs.
Yeah. I mean, the key takeaway I think here is really like resource allocation and effort. Like with anything, if you put a lot of effort into something and then you show it to someone, they're much more likely to appreciate it than if you put not much effort into it and then you show them. Clearly, they'll appreciate it less. It sounds pretty basic and straightforward when I say it that way, but it's just as relevant for an arts and crafts project that your kid does as like a multi-million-dollar loyalty program from a hotel group or something. The more effort and resources go into it, generally speaking, if it's done intelligently, the better the end result is going to be. And I think this is just shown with all of our experiences so far.
You've heard it here, guys. Stop arts and crafting your loyalty programs.
Yeah, exactly. Guys, we're running out of time here. Are there any final takes that either of you guys have? Gabriella, let's start with you before we close things out. Anything you'd like to mention or add?
No, I gave so many takes. I have the feeling
That's
I
true.
was
That's true.
I was cursing the whole time. No, but it's fine. I was just I'm very passionate about this topic. So when I see something I don't like,
the swear jar is getting pretty full. Yes.
They're needed. They show the passion again and the engagement and the conviction for the industry. So I think it's all positive.
That was a great conversation for sure. And honestly, it makes a lot of sense. Gianluca, how about you?
No, all good. I'll stick to the arts and crafts comment as my final comment.
Sounds good. Fantastic. Well, guys, thank you everybody so much if you're sticking with us until the very end. Much appreciated. The usual shout outs apply. So number one, drop in any sort of knowledge, info, tidbits, tips, hints you might have about the loyalty industry in the comments below. We'll be sure to take a look at those and break those down to the best of our ability. We'll be dropping these bi-weekly as always on schedule, slightly behind schedule because your boy was unfortunately quite sick last week, but you can expect everything to be going back to its regular programming soon. There's once again a bunch of new articles and a bunch of new changes and innovations happening in the space that we're gonna, I'm sure, be delving into very thoroughly in the next episode as well. So for now, be sure to keep an eye on us on all the usual platforms, on YouTube, on Spotify, on X, to keep up to date on everything as they come out. And in the meantime, until then, hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Februarys. It's finally getting warmer over here in Europe. Well, less cold. And yeah, have a good one. Take care, and see you guys all in episode 11. Thank you very much, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye,
Ciao,
guys.
ciao.